name's Shaun Street. I have a bachelor's degree in music education, which I don't use because I found myself teaching in a school and and then I got so busy booking. The phone was ringing too much at school, and so I took that run and took the leave, which was scary. And now I'm just full-time management during the day and doing gigs at night. I run a couple of the main band is Murphy's Law, which is a cover band, and that's kind of the flagship, and it's a bit of a juggernaut, which is really exciting. It's got the Murphy boys who came from Albany, and a lot of people know them from Australian Idol. And we've got a couple of spin-off groups. There's the Wesley Goodlett Jamboree Scouts, which is a lot of fun. It's a little trio that plays a lot of pubs, and in the current state in Perth pub scene, it's doing really, really well. And the Rough Houses, which is a rockabilly fun, and yeah. Cue the double bass. Yeah, the Rough Houses is a lot of fun. It's just something we love to do, and luckily we've just had a lot of gigs with that band, so that's really cool. And in last year, about halfway through last year, I picked up a couple of open mic nights to host, which I love doing, and it's introduced me to a whole world of different musicians and people, and it's just a lot of fun. I think it actually kind of satisfies the music teacher in me. They're helping people out and going, oh, you know, a little bit of advice here or there, that kind of thing, and you know, making them feel comfortable on stage. It's kind of what I've always done anyway, so I really quite enjoy that. And plus, it's great. I mean, by the time the weekend rolls around, I've already paid the mortgage, so it's just an unbelievable opportunity which I'm riding while I've got it. So. No, I was strictly bass player first. It was a very, very family band actually. There was only one guy in the band that wasn't a direct relative. One of the guys was a cousin, so there's three brothers, and there was a cousin, and he left. He just decided he wanted to do his own thing, and the guy's like, why? So Chris Murphy, the oldest brother, had seen me do an original gig with an original band I used to be in, called Alias. Those guys are still going. They're called Joy Evolution now, so they're doing rockin' stuff and plugging themselves really hard, so that's really cool. But yeah, I was playing in that band, and the Murphy's Law saw us then when they first came up from Albany for a trip to one of their first trips to Perth. And so Chris saw me and went, I'm going to call that guy. Had a bit of an audition at my house, and that I was living at the time, and that was basically, it was in. One of the questions that the guys were saying, do you like the Beatles? And I went, yeah, who doesn't love the Beatles? And they all kind of looked at each other like, right, he's in. What freaked them out, though, I was a lot older than them, you know, like. And when you're that age, I think 5 or 6 years, I forget what it is, it's like, oh my god, this guy's so old. So now they're all like, yeah, over that, I hope. The management came about, it was before the guys went on Idol. The management thing came about pretty much because, yeah, that's right, Kim Murphy, the oldest, the dad, he was looking after stuff. He's just getting on, you know, and he used to go to the pub and see the boys all the time. When I first joined the group, it was great. And he was the driver, designated driver on all the country trips, which there was a lot. And but he basically just got on a bit, and he went, oh, I'm just getting sick of doing this, and kind of manhandled ourselves for a while, and eventually it became my job. I did it for free for a really long time. You know, a number of years. I just went, oh, I'm just doing this. You know. Then to the point where it really started taking over my life, and I went, oh, actually this is influencing my income, so I need to swap this over, so I'm actually getting paid for it. And that was a bit of a leap, you know, going, what am I worth? What's my value? That kind of thing. And being able to stand up and say, this is what I'm worth, and this is what my value is, and I'm taking this on the chin. You know, I kind of like to say the buck stops with me. Even if someone else screws up, yeah, maybe I could have reminded them, you know, or something like that. I feel that the buck stops with me. And to be honest, it makes it easier that way. Instead of me trying to pass things off every now and again, it's just like, oh, alright, cool. And if someone feels like they have someone to go, well, Streety could have done this, then they're happy. Even if if it's not a malicious thing or anything like that, they can just go, well, you know, left it with that, and then they know for next time, and I can say, right, well, we've learned that for next time. And people go, oh, okay. And it kind of helps issues stop, which is what you need to get on with it. Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting question. I don't think I have an approach, really, but I suppose, of course, I do. Initially wrote down, don't fuck up. Just don't muck up. I suppose really, and I've put this on my website, like, because I had to think about it, what's your tagline? And it really is help musicians be musicians. So the last thing is I want, because I don't write songs, and the other guys in the band are, quite frankly, if you don't mind me saying so, boys, a bit lousy at organising stuff. It ends up getting haywire and they forget to do this and that. So I think that's something I can offer. I will organise things properly. I will make sure that everybody gets paid on time, the invoices go out, everything's looked after, everyone knows where they've got to be, at what time, what they're wearing, what they're playing, and all that kind of stuff. And that's crap that they don't have to worry about. If they were doing that, it'd be distracting them from time where they're writing. They could be writing music, they could be practicing, they could be learning songs, and that's what they want to do. So, and they're not good at the other stuff, so I figured, well, I'll do that then. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. Yeah. Look, I mean, the answer to every single issue we've ever had and will have is communication. It's always the answer. No one is an asshole, well, in our group anyway, but, you know, sometimes we'll think that we are, and why is that? Well, it's probably because we don't understand what they're really thinking, what's going on in their head. So if you can communicate properly, and you know, it's every week there's an issue where I have to think to myself, hang on, communication, what's really going on here? Okay, he's stressed about something. I go, what's going on, mate? You know, super important, and really hard to do these days when you're not face to face all the time. Like when the band first started, we'd see each other, oh God, like 5 times a week with a rehearsal, or in the car, you know, carpooling to something or other, and obviously the gigs. These days we see each other at gigs, we hang out in the back room or whatever and have a great laugh. But often the rest of it's done on the phone. I really just genuinely miss that, sitting down and going, you know, certain comments are slip by and you can see the expression in someone's eyes when they're saying something and you know what they're thinking then. So anyway, communication is super important. Always the answer. Yeah, just got to remember it. Someone gave me a great analogy once. They said managing a band is like you're the captain of a ship. You're not the owner of a ship. The owner of the ship, you know, decides the eventual fate of the ship and wants it to earn money and all that kind of stuff. But the captain is who decides how it's going to get there and what, you know, and all these nitty-gritty bits along the way. So the captain will advise the owner, this is what you should do, kind of thing, and it's up for the ship's owner to actually decide if that's what they're going to do or not, if they're going to take the advice. I find it extremely frustrating when people don't take my advice. But what can I do? You know, I just work within the realms that I'm given. You know, people say, well, want to do this. Well, you really need to do it like this. If I don't do it like that, then I just go, oh well, let it go, and, you know, bitch behind their back, you know, and just go, oh, I can't believe they didn't do it. And then just try another tack, you know, try a different, another yachting reference. Try another way, yeah, figure it out. That's an interesting question. I started thinking about what, you know, the principles, because obviously I'm more experienced with the cover band the cover corporate, you know, band thing rather than the original band thing. I have done the original band thing, and I was working with Courtney as an original artist for a while. So I learned a lot. I went to, you know, music conference in Sydney. I was like, cool, it's great. People kept saying the same thing, which obviously means it's important, you know. But then really when it comes down to the principles of it, I find that I think they're all really similar. You need to have a brand. You need to be very clear on what your brand is and be able to show that instantly through your video, through your bio, photos, all that shit, and it has to be consistent. I can't see how there's really much difference between the two. I mean, I'm sure there's way more if you got right into it, but this, just on a surface level, to me actually the principles seem really, really similar. Be organised, be really organised. And your clients and your agents, because your agents book you more than privately, they just want to know, they just want to be confident. Because, you know, everyone thinks of music, and there's still this stigma that musos are flaky. It's like, oh, they're going to turn up, and all this crap. And I was like, oh my God, seriously, you're asking me that question? You know, this is how we pay our mortgage. This is what we do for a living. You sit behind a desk and do whatever you do. this is what we do. So we can't afford to be stuffing up left, right and centre. But, you know, still that stigma kind of exists. So basically getting rid of that is what we need to do. I talk to people a lot on the phone. I find that pretty good talker. Helps them realise that, yeah, we've done this a lot, we know what we're doing. I ask them the right questions, stuff that they haven't thought of, stuff like that. That's really important. I conduct myself professionally in all my correspondence, emails and things like that. A nice email signature, it comes from the right email address, it's not at Hotmail or something, you know what I mean? Be consistent, be professional. You need to be clear about your product. You need to treat your act like it is a product, and you know, watch the Gruen transfer or whatever, and use those principles. It needs to have a look that's consistent across the board, not just in the photo. You need to be wearing what you're wearing in the photo at the gigs. Every gig, not just the corporate ones, but the pub gigs as well. Because if someone takes a little snapshot of you or a video of you, then it needs to look the same as the rest of it. Don't skimp on the lighting at your gig because, oh, it's a smaller show or something like that. The lighting needs to look like you're putting on a show. That's a little tip for all musos out there. We're also bloody concerned with the sound. To be honest, it's smoke and mirrors, man. They're more likely to book a band that looks awesome. You know, what was it? I heard a saying, people listen with their eyes. Wow, they were great. You know, large version of Smoke Machine, you know, it's like they put on a party, that's what they want. The audio stuff, they know if it's crap, but if you're going into the corporate world, it's not going to be crap. You're obviously doing your work and you're going to sound great anyway. But yeah, do your product. Make sure your product is absolutely solid, and be able to sell it really quickly, 10 words or less. Murphy's Law, I call us a corporate rock band. We're not a corporate band or a corporate wedding band, because that's a different type of thing. There's a band called Proof out there. They're more party corporate. They wear bow ties. They do that kind of thing. There's another band out there. They're more of a wedding band. You know, they lean towards the you know, a few of the Italian cheesy songs and things like that. That's what they do. But they've got their thing and they've got their niche and they're killing it in those areas. We're a corporate rock band. We're rock and roll boys, we've got long hair, and we love having a good time with a Les Paul. So that's what we do, and you know, we found that there's a niche for that. People want that at their gigs, at their shows. They want to have a good time and a dance, but also have a cheeky wink with the singer when he, you know, makes up some different lyrics or something like that. So that's what we do. You know, we've got a pub background, and now we've kind of proved ourselves in that area, and got a bit of a name with the boys, which is great. And so that's our niche. We are a corporate rock band. So that's our product, and that's what I tell the agents, and that's what I tell the clients. Until we change our tack when we're a bit older and a bit greyer. that's what we're going with. Prickly? Prickly people, you mean? Yeah, that's weird. That's a hard one. Patience. Patience. Yeah. Chances are they're just having a bad day. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, well, I've got to present the band as a professional front, so I can't go telling anybody what I really think. You know, if they've upset me, I have to go, okay, and blah 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 blah, and try and talk it down. You know, like kids in a school having a fight, I guess. Maybe back to the school thing. Yeah, patience and being nice, and punching the pillow when you get home. Don't think there's much more to it, really. Just be professional, you know. Yeah. It's funny that there's a lot of in the original and the covers scene, there's a lot of people putting in way more work than they're supposed to, or than they get credit for. You know, and it's just because they just want to do the right thing, and I love that. Yeah. Yeah. I was Scott recommended to me. Scott Adam recommended to me a guy. Well, I needed a bit of a hand around the place when Courtney was going to be doing an album and stuff like that. It was pretty busy, and I got a guy called Ben Matthews came in and he did some work with me. And Scott summed it up beautifully. He goes, he's just one of the good guys, you know. Puts in way more work than he gets credit for, and just wants to do the right thing, and is prepared to work really, really hard to do it, you know. And I feel like in a way, yeah, okay, I do recognise that I'm kind of at the top of what I do now, you know. The band is very good, and good and doing doing well, we're getting the good gigs, and we've got a good reputation, we've established ourselves. But God, that didn't come overnight. And as I said, I was worked as their manager for years for free, just doing it, you know, because I liked it. You know. Mind you, having said that, I think it's important, as a music manager, you always have to, it's an evil side of our business. We have to justify ourselves constantly. You can't just, many times I've been frustrated that the act has not recognised the work that I've done, or you know, don't you realise what I've, you know, all this work that I've done in the background? But they don't, because my job is to make everything look smooth and easy and keep them away from that stuff. But the bad side of that is that they don't know all the crap that I've dealt with. And so they're like, well, why hasn't this happened? It's like, you realise that one thing, that one thing that's gone wrong, the 99 things that had to go right, you know? So in many ways, it's a bit of advice to managers, actually. I think it's let people know occasionally what you've been up to. I've actually just this year, started compiling a little email. I go, right, I've done this, I've done that, and pop it into an email about once a month or something. I'll send it off to the guys and go, hey, look, this is all the stuff I've done. Just a bit of a, hey, look, I'm doing things behind the scenes, you know. I don't think I'm just sitting on 10% and everybody's happy. You know, been doing a bit of work here. Yeah, it's unnecessary evil, I'm afraid. Oh yeah, I had two guys that helped me a lot, actually. One's name is Mark Donoghue, and he was with a band called Magnificent Seven, and he manages a country duo called the Sunny Cowgirls, who do amazing stuff all around Australia. And another guy called Mike Arden, who was Kevin Bloody Wilson's manager when I met him. And just they're the next generation ahead of me. They're organised, professional, and it was a bit of like, well, okay, that's somebody to look up to, because there's not many. And very much on the corporate professional side of things as well as the original side of things. But country it's its own kettle of fish, so the guys are experienced in that as well. And they've been great, you know, to just be able to pick up the phone and go, oh, this is happening, I don't know what to do, and, you know, it's like, well, think about it like this, Streety, and it's been really good. I think Mike gave me the ship and the captain analogy. That was one piece of advice. Another piece of advice he gave to me was, as something comes in, deal with it immediately. For example, if you get with text messages are so tricky. Because if you get a text message and you read it, you've got to deal with what that is right then and there, book that person in on that date right then and there, or send it to your list. I've got a list app, and it goes to my list, and because, you know, if it comes through at 8 o'clock at night, I'm going, no, I'm with the family, I'm not doing this right now, but I'll save and send that to the list so I can deal with it in the morning. But I never ever just leave it and go, oh, I'll remember that that's there, because I won't remember that it's there, and then someone's gone, you never got back to me. And that's the worst thing I hear. It's like, you never got back to me. It's like, damn it. I really hate that. So I try very, very hard not to let that happen. Someone calls me and says something to me, and I'm in the car and I can't do anything. I say, are you behind your computer? And they go, yeah, usually. And I say, okay, can you just quickly send me an email, just outlining quickly what we've discussed, so when I get back in the office I can deal with it. You just can't let things go, because I don't have such a great memory, but I've got really good systems and a very good diary, and yeah, 99% of the time nothing goes wrong, which is great. Yeah, it's the worst when things go wrong with a double booking or something like that, which never happens, or very extremely rarely happens now. So it's because of these systems. I don't know if this is relevant to this question, but I feel that my systems are my strength. Anytime something goes wrong, it's because I haven't stuck to the system. And I've been working, and the systems I've developed and evolved myself throughout, obviously, a decade. So they're pretty good now. Someone calls me about a gig, I've got a spreadsheet. I get on the phone to them. If, you know, someone sends me an email usually, you know, I like to get them on the phone, because I can get a vibe for who they are, what kind of gig they're doing, that kind of thing, and it's nice to talk in person. And I sit down and I tick off the checklist and go through all that information and enter it, and then I quote. I don't want to find out later on that there's a massive flight of stairs at this place, and all the guys are like, well, man, that's it with an extra $50 each, or the PA guy or hasn't allowed for somebody else to come and help him or something like that. He's loading in PA gear up a flight of stairs, which is it's dangerous. You know, you just can't do that. So yeah, I find it's really important to just stick with my systems. Anytime, you know, the only times I've stuffed up is when I haven't stuck to my system. Yeah, it's super important. Super important. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously. Yeah, I mean, I used to go through, everyone's got their own way. I used to flag emails, you know, like you can do an Outlook, you flag it and stuff like that. I just found it didn't work for me because they disappeared off the page. And I was like, oh my God, I've got 15 flag things I haven't tended to. So that doesn't work. I do lists, I do stuff like stuff I've got to do today. And I'll go through that list, and at the end of the day, I'll go, oh, tomorrow I've got to do this, 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 and this, and this. And then in the morning I might go, okay, that doesn't really need to be done today, that can be done tomorrow, so I'll put that there. Just a bit of shuffling around. I use a list app called Todoist. You know, it's just what I use. Yeah, I've gone through a few. What else do I use? Excel spreadsheets. I use, for example, I've got the band's song lists online. So if you're at a gig, and someone hasn't done a set list, or we're trying to think of some other songs or something like that, we can look through that online on our phones. Everybody's got access to it. Google Docs and Google Calendar is just fantastic. And I don't mind saying I was one of the first people on it. We use Google Calendar for everything. All the boys have access to it. I don't give agents access to it merely because there's stuff in there which would confuse them or something like that. So, so I've got an agent Google Calendar. It's just for the agents. It's the information that they need to know. And you can swap it and transfer stuff around electronically. It's fantastic. I know a guy that's using a book, and he's constantly mucking up. You know, it's just an old-fashioned way of doing things, and he doesn't have it, oh, I'll have to check it when I get back to the office. Whereas I can just do it instantly on the phone. It's great. Works really, really well. Yeah, yeah, Excel docs, Google. They're my systems. That's what I use. Yeah, and obviously financial side of things, I use accounting software. And I've got a thing every week. I sit down, I enter blah 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 blah, and every quarter my bookkeeper comes around and she charges me money, and I go, oh well, that's the cost of running a business, and that's what we do. And my taxes on top of, and my bases are all done. It's just makes for a nice, easy life. It's good. Yeah, stress free. That's what I'm after. Don't forget the system. You know, if a friend calls for a gig, I go, oh yeah, man, and end up talking to them for a while, something like that, and I'm not realising, and then I get off the phone and go, oh, what did they say about, you know, that flight of stairs again? Or how many people? So what size PA do I need? And I don't write it down. I don't do that anymore. But even as recently as last year, you'd think I'd know. But, you know, it's doing a gig for a friend, and you've not followed your systems because you've treated them like a friend, and it's like, you know, you've stuffed them around, like... Everything's worked out, but yeah, stick to the system no matter what. That's what I do. Oh, the stuff on my checklist of what for a corporate gig. Obviously, what's it go? Date, referral. I like to know where it's coming from. I'll make. Oh, how did you find us? You know, it's good stuff to know. Venue, times for the performance, but you also need to know what time the guests are arriving. For example, for weddings, especially. I call it the no bum crack time. You can't be standing around in your shorts and your thongs plugging in something if you've got people walking into the room. So it's usually 6 o'clock, and I tell everybody 5:30. Just be done by then, be disappeared. You know, but it's great, because then you can say to the client, when your guests walk, I need to know this because when your guests walk into the room, there's going to be a band set up, the lights are on, there's nice background music playing, and there's not a sight of anything else, and they go, oh, wow, that looks great, you know, and that's what it's all about, do that kind of stuff. Gig times, you know, production, I need to know, so production comes down to how many people are going to be there, how big the room is, that kind of stuff. It can really vary. Sometimes we can get away with a really small little system for these gigs, and sometimes it needs to be a moderate, and sometimes it needs to be bloody huge, and there's lots of different tiers of pricing there. But we always need to, like as I said before, we always need to look professional and present ourselves professionally. So I'm always talking to subcontractors, PA guys, and going, how much are you going to charge for that? How much are you going to charge for that? I'm always calling the band and going, what do you reckon for that gig? You know, it's an hour away, or it's you know, 5 hours away and we're going to stay overnight and that kind of stuff, you know, because, you know, sometimes the guys go, oh, well, I think that needs to be about this amount of money. Always have a general price list, and that's always changing, you know. I'm adjusting that all the time. Okay, no, it's going to have to be that amount of money. And sometimes you're going to have to say, oh, well, that's going to price us out for Joe Bloggs who wants us for $1,500. I'm going, sorry, you can't get us, you know. But I'll offer him something else. And that goes through the system. So yeah, production, how big the room is, what size it is, all that kind of stuff. Stairs, that's something to consider. Yeah, that's pretty much most of it. That's the guts of it. And then I just talk to people about the deposit and things like that. You know, we get a 50% deposit up front, and as soon as that's paid, we're locked in. And come hell or high water, we're locked in. Don't care what anybody else has to say about it. You know, oh, I've got this though. Oh, sorry, but you're locked in. You know, yeah. So from our end and from their end as well. You know. We don't. Look, we do when we've got something we really when we go, oh god, we got to get some new songs or something like that. Getting everybody together is hard, so we get together and organise rehearsal. There's a difference between rehearsal and practice. Practice is something you do at home, and you don't do it at rehearsal. Rehearsal is for rehearsal. It's running the song, and it needs to, you know. And there's a bit of pressure, there's a bit of professional pride there, you know. You want to have your part down, because you don't want someone saying to you, oh, did you get that bit? Or you missed the bridge there, or something like that. You want to, you want to step up at that point and go, yep, I'm prepared. You know, decide if you're going to use your cheat sheet or not, and make the call and turn up and do a bloody good job at rehearsal. Treat it like it's the gig. That's what we do. The Wesleys, on the other hand, we work a lot, like 3 nights a week, and with that, and kind of the calibre of musicianship, most of the guys are pretty good. We can just say, oh look, we're going to run this song at the next gig, and we just turn up and give it a go. And you know, 9 times out of 10 it's fantastic. You know, 1 time out of 10 it's a bit like, ooh. But audience doesn't usually know anyway, especially at a pub. You know, it's not like it's a corporate gig and we're doing that. So Murphy's Law, if we've got stuff we want to do at a corporate show, we'll run that. But with the pub, sometimes pub gigs, you know, we can just wing it, and it's good fun. Yeah, it's good fun.
Cool.
Oh, mind you, if we're doing a special show, like we did a Beatles thing for the record club or something like that, then we do intensive rehearsals. You know, we usually schedule in about 3 rehearsals, but everybody's looking at the material a lot beforehand. So, yeah. Kind of no. No. It's great fun. So I guess that's, after being doing it for so long, it kind of turns into adrenaline instead. You know, like, okay, cool, you know, and here's Murphy's Law, you know, and the lights go on and you're like, wow, cool, and it's a little bit, and the lights go up and you hear click, 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 and it's like, yeah, man, this is cool, and you're listening. Oh, I love that first song. The first song's exciting because you're listening like nothing else. You're like, how's my sound? Am I at the right level? How's the pace of this? What's the vibe? Do I look like I'm having fun? Because that's important, because it's first impression, you know what I mean? So there's a lot going through your mind, and it's really exciting. That's the good stuff. I've been nervous for special shows like the record club, or if we're putting on a show where we've rehearsed things and it's a bit of out of our comfort zone, but generally we do it so much it's all kind of within our comfort zone. So yeah, not so much nervous, but excited and pumped up and happy, yeah. Yeah, but they're the only way to go when you're playing rockabilly stuff, like, hang on, make sure it's in tune.